And here's the truth, mate. The reason South Park is funny is because it's true.
Yes, they saw through every veneer that this phony pair put up, right? Oh, we want our privacy. And by the way, when the couple tried to correct that, saying, well, we never said we wanted our privacy. We just want to control our narrative. Well, you're public figures. You don't get to. Shut up. Do you think Joe Biden would like to control his public narrative? Do you think Tom Cruise would prefer it if he could control his public? Will Smith? Get over it. You don't get to do that. Once you become a public figure, it's fair game for us to comment on you. And guess what else? It doesn't always tend to be laudatory, especially when you're selfish brats like the two of you. They keep firing and hiring new PR people to try to help them spin the narrative or control the narrative. Or maybe if we just do the Netflix doc or we do the Spare publicity tour, then they'll see how amazing we are. What's actually happening is they're confirming all of our worst suspicions and offering even worse ones than the ones we conjured up in our heads about Harry reading in his light, effete voice about his todger. I'm never going to get over that, Paul. So they have themselves to blame. It is not the press's fault. It is their own fault. And it doesn't matter how many PR people they hire and fire. They're still going to be in the dungeon on their approval ratings until they actually do something charitable and something not about themselves.
Let's talk about Biden and the Ukraine, some concerning escalation, particularly on the China side of things. But what about your mates at MSNBC, the lefty cable channel? They say that he's as brave as Abraham Lincoln because he went to Ukraine.
To find a day of this kind of presidential bravery in a war zone, you've got to go all the way back to 1864, July, when Abraham Lincoln, as president, went to see Confederate soldiers who were firing on Washington, D.C. That's what presidential bravery in wartime is.
They know that Sean Penn's been there twice and he was able to take an Oscar with him without getting hurt, right?
So is every other leader. Like literally almost all of the other international leaders have gone to Ukraine. I mean, I love how they're trying to paint this into some spectacular moment of courage for Joe Biden. First of all, we called the Russians before he got there to make sure that there was, quote, deconfliction. That was the word used by the White House. He was never in any danger. It's only the press over here that wants to turn this into some sort of General MacArthur march. It wasn't. He went over there. It was a photo op. He needed it because he's had a very bad couple of weeks of press over here. And so, ta-da, even though the White House says they've been working on the trip for a long, long time, in at least one publication, they gave it up and said they planned it as of last week. He went over there, he tried to have a rah-rah moment, and he spent the whole time misrepresenting the mood of the American people, saying, we are behind you no matter how long it takes, until it takes to win. No, we're not. The latest polls show that support for our arming Ukraine and sending money to Ukraine are all going in the wrong direction for him. Down, down, down.
Now, let's talk about Sean Spicer. He's the former Trump communications guy. He was around for a little while, but he has decided to absolutely and quite rightly go after the media because they are not asking questions about Biden's health. He's just had a physical, yet no mental test for the guy that clearly is crumbling before our eyes.
There's no question about it. I think the media coverage and accountability of this administration is an absolute travesty and a disappointment to journalism writ large.
Oh, yeah. They did his physical, his annual physical at the White House last week and said, okay, he's a healthy 80-year-old man. They did not do a mental competency exam. They did not do anything to make sure he's functioning adequately mentally or emotionally, never mind. And once again, they didn't put the doctor out to answer questions. So we won't get the answers to those questions. We just have to try to disbelieve our lying eyes. They tried to say that the problem with his gait, he walks strangely, had nothing to do with his mental faculties. Well, how do we know? What did you do? Let's see the MRI. Was one done? It doesn't appear so. So they're very guarded with information about his mental state, and it matters. It matters. If he served a second term, he would be closer to 90 at the end of it than he is to 80, than he would be to 80. So it matters. And the fact that they won't go there is cause for concern.
Now, I want to also talk about what's been happening in East Palestine. This is this story in the state of Ohio, a train derailment. For some reason, we know that there was chemicals on board, but for some stupid reason, somebody decided to set those on fire. They keep telling us everything's okay, trust us, we'll be all right. But basically, a chemical bomb has gone off just a few days ago, yet No one from the federal government can be seen, including Pete Buttigieg, the Transport Secretary, the guy responsible for train derailments.
When are you going to go to East Palestine?
Well, I am planning to go, and our folks were on the ground from the first hours. I do want to stress that the NTSB needs to be able to do its work independently. But when I go, the focus is going to be on action.
So Pete Buttigieg, our transportation secretary, should have been there. There was this hideous, horrible train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, a state that used to be critical in presidential elections because it was a swing state. Now it's gone reliably red for a while, so the Democrats are a little less interested in it. I'm sorry to be so cynical, but one does wonder whether we'd be getting a different kind of attention if this happened in, let's say, the swing state of Pennsylvania. Now the poor residents of East Palestine have to continue living there despite enormous levels of chemicals having been released into the community. And what they're getting from the officials, the federal government, never mind the state governor who isn't doing a bang-up job, is it's safe. So Pete Buttigieg says it's fine. I'm not going to go because I don't need to do a photo op. I'll go when the time is right. How about right now? You go, you drink from the drinking fountains. You drink from somebody's water faucet in their homes. We'll pick the house. You walk in at random. Take a big, big gulp. Bring your twins. How about that? Let your babies drink the water out of the faucet, the same as the residents of East Palestine have to do with their babies. Go ahead and take a shower with the well water of one of the residents there. Use his. Then I'll believe you that it's fine and that there's no real reason for your presence there. He won't do it. These people are scared and they're not being well managed. What we're learning now is that the few government officials that are out there working with companies trying to test the air and test the water are sticking releases in front of them, Paul, trying to get them to release all rights to sue. So these working class people who are just looking for clean air and clean water get bamboozled into releasing their rights by the same leftist politicians and surrogates and company representatives who are freaking out over gas stoves, saying, oh, they need to be banned. They could cause childhood asthma. But we're supposed to believe their representations that the film and the dead fish in the river is absolutely nothing to worry about.
Bloody oath. Megyn Kelly, she's amazing. The Megyn Kelly Show. Of course, you can get it on podcast, YouTube, and if you get Sirius XM in the US, that's the way to get it.